Hello, class. My name is Deshaun Wilson. I am a student here at LSU in pursuit of my master's in construction management. Today, I will be presenting our research project for our CM 7010 class. This study focuses on a significant and timely topic: how zoning laws and building codes contribute to or can potentially reduce construction delays in the delivery of affordable housing. I'll walk you through the background, research, methods, findings, and implications of this case study. Outline. Here's a quick overview of what I'll cover in the next 8 to 10 minutes. We'll start with the motivation for this topic and why it's worth studying. I'll then introduce the literature I reviewed, explain my methodology, and present the key findings. Finally, we'll wrap up with a discussion and conclusion, including limitations of the study and opportunities for future research. Background and motivation. Affordable housing shortages are becoming a national crisis, particularly in the urban areas. Despite funding and policy incentives, developers often face long lead time delays. A major contributor is the regulatory framework, specifically zoning, zoning laws, and building codes. While intended to ensure safe and proper urban planning, these regulations can add significant time and cost to a project across the board. Policymakers are increasingly recognizing that streamlining these processes may be the key to accelerating housing delivery projects. Literature collection and data set. I reviewed 42 resources, including academic journals, policy reports, and government databases. The studies span 14 years and include both qualitative and quantitative analysis. The aim was to understand how different jurisdictions are addressing the impact of zoning and building regulations on affordable housing timelines. I also conducted a keyword analysis to determine thematic patterns across the literature. Methodology. The methodology involved categorizing each study based on location, intervention type, and its documented impact on project timelines. I paid close attention to whether zoning reform or code streamlining had been implemented and compared outcomes between cities that had and hadn't adopted these policies. I also analyzed keyword frequencies to identify recurring issues such as permitting delays or inconsistent inspections. Here you see my keyword findings throughout the literature, ranging from affordable housing, zoning, building codes, urban development, delays, permitting. Results. The results were compelling. Cities that adopted their zoning or codes reform reported significant reduction in project timelines. Those that implemented both strategies simultaneously saw the most benefit up to 6 months saved. Digital permitting platforms and by right zoning provisions emerged as the most impactful reform. These tools remove subjective and reduce administrative overhead. Results continued. Timeline reductions. Here in Figure 4, you can see the timeline reduction across 10 different case studies. Portland and Chicago each saw 6 months savings. Cities like Denver and New York also saw 4 to 5 months shaved off their construction timelines. These improvements stemmed from streamlining inspections, allowing pre-approved plans, and reducing discriminatory review stages. This visual supports the conclusion that reforms have a measurable and positive effect. Discussion. The data makes it clear that regulatory delays are not just anecdotal, they can be quantified. Infill development and multifamily units were particularly responsive to and zoning and code changes. Streamlining regulations improve not only timelines but also cost predictability and public trust. It helps developers plan better and allocate resources more effectively. In conclusion and limitations. In conclusion, zoning and building codes play a critical role in affordable housing project timelines. Smart reforms, especially those that embrace technology, can make a big difference. However, reforms need to be standardized and scalable. One limitation is that many case studies focus on early stage development. More research is needed to evaluate long-term impact, especially on project quality and community outcome. Thank you for your time and attention. I'd be happy to take any questions in the discussion board process. Feel free to ask about the data, the methodology, and or specific case study I referenced within this presentation. I look forward to hearing from everybody else in their presentation. Thank you. Have a good day.